Welcome back to the Charlie Tuna Show.
We'd like to remind you about the Snooks Rewards app. Reward yourself daily with the Snooks Rewards app. With Snooks Rewards, you earn 2% back on every purchase. It's so simple. Shop, earn, redeem. Just show your barcode in the app or use your phone number at checkout. It's not only do you get points but money off, the Snooks Rewards app has a lot of other features designed to make your grocery shopping easier. Have you been to the new Cafe Napoli restaurant? It's called Napoli Brothers. It's a pizza and pasta bar. It's in Chesterfield Valley. Unbelievable place. Nice patio. They've got a huge pizza oven. Food is just delicious. Coal-fired pizza, pasta entrees, unbelievable. They got a coal-fried meatball that's unbelievable. Country Club Bar and Grill, which has the best steak burgers and steaks in the city of St. Louis. They're open until about 1 o'clock, Monday through Saturday night. Soundtrack BMW of West St. Louis County, home of the ultimate driving machine. And don't forget about Del Mar Gardens. Love, care, and understanding. You can always check it out at Del Mar Gardens. And don't forget about Crown Candy Kitchen, home of the ultimate BLT and the Charlie Tuna Special. Pasta House celebrating their 50 years in business. Don't forget the great new Pasta House at Kirkwood at 10312 Manchester Road in Kirkwood, Missouri. You can call for curbside pickup and they can take good care of you. And please, man, don't forget about Victory Men's Help. If you're having trouble with your lady, call Victory Men's Help.
Are you ready, Charlie?
Hey.
Hey.
What's up? Good afternoon. Welcome to the Charlie Tuna Podcast. Having a good time. Of course, every Thursday night we bring in Kira. Dr. Rick Lehman will be back next week. He's on vacation with his lovely lady. So we have Kira tonight with us, and she's going to introduce us to her new guest tonight. Go right ahead, Doctor.
Yes, this is the first time she's been on our show. Joanna, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Joanna is one of my very best friends in the whole wide world. We met when we started teaching at Cycle Bar together, and there has been a lot that has happened in our lives collectively in the last few years, so that's why I wanted to bring her on the show.
She is, but no,
she's a lot of things.
Okay.
Joanna, tell us all of your accolades and what, she's a therapist, she's an attorney, she's a brand new mom, she's a cancer thriver.
Yes. So, like Kira said, we met. First off, thank you for having me tonight.
Absolutely.
So Kira and I met in 2017. We had both just recently been married. We taught at Cycle Bar for a couple years. Kira had a couple kids in there. And then actually in 2016, I was diagnosed. I think you're on that, right? 5 years? No.
Not 16.
That's when we were married, 2019.
Yeah.
May of 2019, I was diagnosed with cancer. So I actually, stage 3 colorectal cancer.
Wow.
And that was after about 18 months of being misdiagnosed by doctors.
What do you mean misdiagnosed?
Great question. So I was very, very vocal. I went into multiple doctors, GI, OB. I had all of the intolerance tested and nothing came back. And so I had doctors telling me I was too young. At that time I was running marathons. I was a lead instructor at Cycle Bar. And I actually had a doctor, an older gentleman, tell me, quote, people like you don't get cancer, end quote. I was just very fit. I was very active. And I was exhausted all the time. But I told myself it was because I was too active. I needed more sleep. But really what it was is I was walking around with cancer in my body.
You had a big weight on your back and didn't know it.
Exactly.
Were you able to have children?
So, luckily, when I was diagnosed, like I said, in May of 2019, originally my doctors thought that my cancer was much too advanced to go through IVF. But I was able to, my husband and I pushed back a little bit, and I was able to go through IVF right before radiation, and we were successful with the retrieval on that. And actually, my husband and I just welcomed our son via surrogate in November. Thank you.
How's your health now?
Very healthy.
Mentally and physically.
Sure, I'll start with physical. So 4.5 years post-treatment. I really do, the last year or so, I felt like I'm back to myself, which is so sad because it took so long to feel like myself again. But, my cancer went away, but there was just so many things to kind of pick up, not only physically, but then I'll segue into the mental piece of that. It was very, very challenging on many, many different levels.
Does it still bother you mentally anyway?
Just having cancer?
No, just what you have been through.
I think if you asked me that about 18 months ago, I would say absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I know Kira has shared that I'm a therapist, so I'm a part-time therapist right now. I'm changing careers, and so going to therapy for myself as a client is not only helpful when I'm the therapist, but also it has gotten me through so many hardships in my life. Focusing on my mental health has been just a key piece to me really getting to where I am today.
Getting back to your illness, you said it went away. What do you mean by that? It went away?
Yeah, so I went through 6 months, so a week long of radiation and then 6 months of chemo. And at the end of the 6 months of chemo, I had a complete response to both therapies. And so I've been on it's called the wait and see approach. I've been on that for about 4.5 years now. And so the doctors are watching me very closely. I go in it was 3 months, and now I go in every 6 months for blood work and scans. So I feel confident that my doctors are tracking.
What's the mental aspect of your husband during all this time?
That's a great question. I think so often we forget about the caregivers. And Kira being a caregiver herself when she was going through her husband's treatment, I think everyone forgets about the caregiver. They just focus on the patient. My husband didn't tell really anyone how difficult that was for him, but it was difficult to not only watch me look and feel like myself most days out of the month, and then several days when I'm on chemo, I'm the complete opposite version of myself. And so there's just so much uncertainty with cancer.
What about your parents? How did they handle this? Are they local or are they out of town?
So they're outside Chicago. They live about 4.5 hours away. Extremely difficult. I will say it was actually a way to really unite my family in a way. Everyone came together, and then also about a year after I finished treatment, my dad was diagnosed with stage 3 prostate. So it also became a way that him and I strengthen our relationship. There's this bond that when you go through something really difficult, there's this threat, this commonality that really, really binds you together.
People never know what each individual goes through in life. We walk around happy, they just don't know how it is at home. Never do. What about the children?
But my children? So I just have one.
Okay.
And he's 8 months old.
Oh, well, too young to know.
Too young.
He was a miracle. So
Miracle baby to even have the baby. Surrogate,
They went from, like you said, they got married in December 31st of 2016. And we're looking at, got married, looking at having their life together. And when she found out she was diagnosed, it's like your whole world. I remember you just said, we were supposed to have lunch actually that day that you found out, I think. And, you said your whole world changed in every way. And so this baby is a miracle.
I was going to ask you, what's the good that came? Was there some good came out of this besides your baby?
Oh, absolutely. So I have been an attorney for almost 10 years, and about 2 years ago I went back, no longer than that, 3 years ago in August I went back to school to become a therapist. So I'm a little less than 2 years away from being a full-time therapist. And so that's just one example that it's changed the direction of my life. And the reason I'm going into, I am a therapist and I will be a full-time therapist, is I so strongly believe in it, in the process of it, in True Talk therapy. Not only only has it helped me as a client, but I know I'm helping people as a therapist.
Now, you said you were real enthusiastic. You started smiling. You said, I like being a therapist. I like helping people. I ran into a therapist 3 years ago, and I was always, and I told this to Kara, I was always told, you're crazy, you're a therapist. This lady helped me out so much, just to sit and talk to her. So I found out from my family, there's a lot of people that have therapists. You need one.
Absolutely.
You need somebody to talk to. I'm going through trauma now, and my therapist is Kara.
That's not true.
But it's weird how life revolves, but it always comes back. I always say on my radio show, every storm ends in time. It sometimes looks like, oh my God, it's raining and raining. But you look like you're extremely happy now. You're blessed.
I am.
And the thing is, she didn't miss a beat all through her treatment, Charlie. And for those of you listening,
Did you help her out?
this woman, I was there as much as I could be, not knowing truly what it meant to have cancer. I mean, and I was having babies. We moved to Toronto. We came back. So my whole world was like changing. And then she gets this cancer diagnosis, and it just stops everybody, right where you're at. Because like she said, she's this, from my opinion, she's this beautiful, amazing, healthy, like attorney who just is frolicking throughout life.
She can go to the
And the thing is,
looks.
she didn't miss a beat, Charlie. She would get chemo on Wednesdays, teach that night, or I don't even know, the next morning, like literally teach a spin class. Her doctor said, I remember these conversations clearly, and you could not really tell, like she was still upbeat and positive. She taught a full packed class, and her doctor was like, people don't do this, Joanna.
What mentally kept you doing that?
So actually, Kira started, we had all the swag. It said Joe's Army. We had camo shirts. And the group we had in our spin classes, they really rallied behind not only me, but my entire family. It's something about St. Louis I absolutely love, is that it is a community.
Yes.
It's a big city, but everyone knows everybody. And I felt so supported. And so for me, my love language is quality time, quality conversation. I love being social. And so really it was kind of this, I'd get up on the bike and it was like I could escape everything that was going on for 50 minutes. And I was giving back to somebody else, really a room of 50 people. And then I was getting so much in return. These people didn't even realize what they were
Can I ask you
giving
something
me.
personal?
Absolutely.
Are you religious at all?
Yes.
Okay. Does that help?
I think so. Most definitely.
So your mornings now, you wake up smiling. After you leave here and go home to see your family, you go to sleep happy, which in the past was hard to do, correct?
I think at times, I do think that my personality leans more towards a positive
You two are I just met you. You two are a lot alike.
sisters.
We get it all the time.
You're a lot alike. I'm serious.
We actually, so anyone listening, we are now telling people moving forward that we're related.
In fact, we are sisters.
She gives
are
me how she's so upbeat all the time
Yes.
after what
Yeah,
the helium she went through.
I know.
And she always wants to help somebody out. She sends you words of encouragement, which is really unique. It's lucky to have good friends.
Absolutely.
We often say, you don't have, all you need is one good friend. But you sound like you were surrounded with people you work with and everything else. And now you're expanding your profession, aren't you?
Yes.
Tell us about that, mentally.
Yes. So right now, I'm a part-time therapist, and it's just keeping it small. So I'll be an attorney for about another maybe 2 years, and then I'm just making a slow movement over to the therapy world.
Do you talk to different patients quite often?
Oh yes, almost every day.
Every day? Is it Zoom or is it in person?
Right now it's virtual.
Virtual? Wow.
I know she's been an inspiration to me since the day I met her, and watching her through this cancer journey. I mean, when Kyle was diagnosed, she was my first call when we were in the ER, because I'm like, this can't be happening. We were at her ring the bell ceremony, and her husband stood up, very well-spoken man, And he basically just thanked everybody for being there for Joe, for battling, being there as they battled. And he said, but, this isn't it. This isn't the end. 1 in 2 people are affected by cancer personally. And I remember looking around the room thinking, like, I feel bad for whoever in this room is going to get cancer. Not knowing it was my husband sitting next to me at Joanna's Ring the Bell party that was going to be diagnosed a year later.
Wow.
And so she and her family were incredibly supportive of me during Kyle's battle. So I truly believe God put you in my life and put you in so many other people's lives.
She was a godsend.
No question. I mean, and that's how he works. He puts people in your life at just the right time.
That's how things happen.
Just the right
God's
reason.
put people in your life. All of a sudden something happens.
Absolutely.
The first person they call is that friend that God sent.
No question.
Which is good.
Yeah.
You guys spend a lot of time together now?
As much as we can, because they moved to Chicago.
Oh, you live in Chicago now?
She moved to Chicago for 2 years, and
back?
I'm back.
Now she's back.
What about how's your father?
He's healthy.
He's healthy. Okay.
Yeah.
Almost 4 years, cancer free.
Mom and Dad were worried sick.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's just how do people don't. Stress is a son of a gun.
Well, and
Sometimes I'd rather break my arm than have stress. I'm not kidding. I'd rather have that pain.
Well, stress can exacerbate disease. I mean, there's studies right now showing that maybe it doesn't start cancer, but it absolutely exacerbates it to the point where it's metastatic. I don't know why I'm struggling on that word today. So they're doing studies right now at WashU.
Well, one of my daughters is a doctor, and I would have problems in life with some things. She said, don't stress out on it. That makes it worse.
Way worse.
She said, just pray on it and go and get it fixed, but don't stress out on it, which is hard to do.
It is hard.
That's possible to do. Did you sleep nights when you were going through your treatments?
Ooh, that's a good question. Feels like so long ago. I'm sure I did. I've been a good sleeper. My mom said since I was born. My son is the greatest sleeper. I sleep 8 hours a night.
Mama like baby. What's the baby's name?
Duke.
Duke. All right, Duke.
He's darling. And he's a miracle. I mean, he really is. He's a
So,
miracle.
whatever questions you guys want to talk about, let's do it.
Well, I know something that is a bit unique about Joanna's journey is that she and Caleb went through surrogacy. So I'd love for you to share about your journey with that. And yeah.
Okay. A lot of people, and I know you've asked me this too, of what was the hardest piece of your cancer journey? And by far, when I look back on the last 4.5 years, it was having infertility and knowing I couldn't carry. And some people have told me over the years, oh, you should be lucky. Carrying a child is so difficult. Just have someone else do it for you. But there's this, when you envision your life a certain way growing up, especially as a female, and that's just ripped from you, it's so difficult. And so I was so resistant for so long that someone had to do that for us. And then going through therapy was such a focus of my therapy for so long. I just could not accept it. I had so much anger, so much bitterness, and I would compare my journey so much with all of my friends. And it's almost as if the universe opened, and I'll share who our surrogate is because it's so beautiful. But it's almost as if the universe opened and it was the perfect time. And it came shortly after I accepted the fact that this was my journey and I needed to own it. That it was so different than everybody else's, around me at least. And that special person is actually my kindergarten best friend.
Really?
Carried Duke. And she obviously is...
What's your middle name?
Lorraine.
Who you named after?
My grandmother.
See? You're always named after an aunt or a grandmother. Actually, your middle name is more important than your first name.
Really?
Because you were named after that special person. She was special. They said, well, we got to name her after her aunt or her grandmother, which is people never think about that. I have the weirdest middle name in the world. My brother and I have the same middle name, Lewis. My mother said, well, she didn't have time to think about a middle name, so I'm gonna name you after the damn city.
I like that.
That's hilarious.
But keep going, Carol. This is very interesting. We're gonna do this try to do this every Thursday. Have somebody come in.
Yeah.
But she's unique. I hope you can come back.
I will.
I want you to come back.
Thank you.
She's got me warm. I mean that.
Yeah,
You're very radiant in your desires. You're very
Thank
good.
you. I appreciate that.
Very good. Carol, you okay?
the God side.
I told you last week she was a keeper, Joe Davis.
Well, I hope so.
I got some.
I'm here to stay.
I got some questions about some things. Can I?
Please.
These are political questions.
Oh Lord, let's say that for the next time I'm here.
Okay.
Let's just get to know each other.
Let's
right?
get to know each other.
Yeah.
Okay. I had to go through. I think about.
Martha?
No,
What are you talking about?
no, I don't talk about my ex-girlfriend. No. I had to go through a 5-way bypass in 2008. I was at the hospital. My brother-in-law had the Rocky Mountain spotted fever. I don't know if you know what that is. They use a tick that gets embedded in your head, or you get it from the dentist. We got a call from the hospital one night, and they had to bring his 2 kids in. They had to get tested. That night was one of the worst nights of my life. They had to amputate his arms and his legs. And my sister said, he can't live like that. So we have to go to the doctor and say, no, we can't live like that. But he got bit by a tick
Unreal.
in his head. And it was so unreal that night. Doctors came, we were at Barnes Hospital. Doctors came from other hospitals to see him. It was the floor of the room where he was at was just an inch of blood all over the floor.
Oh my gosh.
So that night, I got sick. So we were already in the hospital, so my daughter and I got into an argument. So she took me down to the emergency room. That's when they found out something was wrong with me.
Oh my goodness.
So about 2 weeks later, my ex-wife's uncle died. So they had, my ex-wife came back, not my ex-wife, my oldest daughter came back in town. And at the funeral, she looked over at me. She said, you don't look right. I said, well, I got to go to my doctor Thursday, check it out. She said, no, you need to go tomorrow. I went to see my doctor the next day. They admitted me into the hospital right away. And it was so stressful. That's when my daughter told me about stress. And I remember, I'll never forget when they told me, they called my daughter up when they did the test. And I could hear my daughter out of town on the phone. I'm on my way. Because one thing, my 2 daughters will do anything for their dad, because a lot of daughters don't. And I hear this a lot. I was with some people last night, and I'm shifting gears, but both of you can answer me. Why is it that some men that are not married anymore, that have daughters, don't take care of them? I've met so many ladies like that. That is unbelievable. And it's got to be, the mothers would say, well, the kid's okay. And I said, no, they're not. She said, really, they're not okay. They'll smile, but how bad is that for a child to know that her father doesn't even wish her a happy birthday, or give her money, which is all right, but not even wish her a happy birthday. Let Charlie take care of you. Yeah. How tough is that on a child? These girls I know are like 19 or 25.
Well, it's like at the end of the day, that's your earliest caregiver, and you want that individual to validate you and
I hope not out of line by asking these questions.
No, absolutely.
But you girls could answer them.
But I think with your earliest people who take care of you, that's who you want to see you and hear you and validate you the most. And when you're ignored, that does a whole host of issues mentally to that person.
Creates wounds. So how I always describe it, and I'm not a therapist, I don't study psychology, but I've been through a lot of therapy, and my husband and I actually we did some parenting classes, because we're like, we don't know how to parent, like what, and there's all these books, and essentially we studied this parenting theory. It's called Circle of Security Parenting.
Can you explain that?
Yeah, I'm about to.
Okay.
Circle.
That's where I do her. That's where she does me. She lets me hang myself.
No, I don't. Circle of security. You can look that up. It's incredible. But essentially the idea is mom and dad, we're the home base, right? So you put your hands like this, and essentially as the kids get older, or even when they're babies, you let them crawl, something happens. Either they successfully crawl or they fall, but whatever happens, they come back to mom and dad, right? They look back to you. Kids always end up back at home. So what's important, and then that's all the way through their childhood, right? Like you let them go to school, you know, they get good grades, whatever it is, they're on a sports team, whatever, but they always come back home. So the whole premise, the whole idea is that you're available to A, let your kid go explore, but be there in the end. Mm-hmm. Come back to the end and always be that loving foundation. And so sometimes parents, either they're so controlling or they don't let their kids explore, so the kids are missing that autonomy and that independence. And then some parents aren't here for the bottom end, right? They let their kid go, whatever happens, but when the kid or, you know, young adult...
When you said let them go, hug them or something when something happens?
Well, I mean, like, let them go explore, go to school, play with their friends, you know, they're out of your home, right? You let them go, do whatever it is they're going to do. They always come back home and want that loving support. They want that home to come to. But the problem is that the parents aren't emotionally there.
They miss out.
They miss out, and the kids have a wound.
Why is it little boys and young teenagers are more attracted to their moms, where on the other side, girls are more attracted to their fathers? Is there a mental reason for that? Because that's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. Little girls they react to their dad. Mm-hmm. And you can do nothing wrong sometimes with your dad.
There's actually a stage in your development where you start to, as a child, see the same sex as... You hate that sex in a way. So I forget exactly what the age is, but a little boy will not want to spend time with their father. They will be so attached to their mother. Mm-hmm. And so there's theories on that. Mm-hmm. But
because I told her last week I was a mama's boy. Mm-hmm. I was the oldest child.
Yeah.
And I could do nothing wrong with my mom. Nothing. Leave him alone. She would tell my father, leave Charles alone. I handle it. Leave him alone.
That was Jim Crow days, though.
Yeah. No.
And you had to protect the young black boys.
No, she was. If my mother were alive today, my daughters are like that with me right now. As I'm older, they treat me, my oldest daughter, like they tell me, don't do that. Mm-hmm. So I've been growing up. She said, don't do that.
Exactly. It ends up where we end up parenting.
Parenting the reversal.
Absolutely.
They talk to me like, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Oh, I tell my dad, I'm like, did you go to the doctor? What'd the doctor say? When's your next appointment?
But that's what my daughter does.
Yeah.
Like she says,
stop drinking.
What do you eat? Exactly.
yeah, what am I eating?
Yes.
Dad, you need to go to a therapist.
Yep.
This happened years ago. Dad, you need to go to a therapist. Mm-hmm. Why? You just need to go to one. We all do. Mm-hmm. Doctors go to therapists. Mm-hmm. Priests go to therapists. Everybody goes to a therapist. Sometimes, like you said, stress, when you keep it inside, it's called a stroke. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or many other, it manifests in many other ways. Mm-hmm.
And men, we just don't, we think it's a weakness when a woman cries. Well, I think when a woman cries, that's good. They're letting out some stress sometimes. Oh, men don't want to cry.
Mm-hmm. Well, you were told not to.
We're told not to. But you're told not to because that means I think you're more of a man if you can shed a tear.
I will say I have several clients who come to therapy and there's shame wrapped around a lot of their emotions. Mm-hmm. And when we'll uncover something over the course of a couple months or a year, a lot of people will have this response of, oh, that's so obvious. I don't know why I couldn't do that myself. Mm-hmm. And they start to heal. And I always tell clients, you can't heal what you can't see. Mm-hmm. And so often it takes almost all the time more than one brain to really see what's going on. So it takes two people to come together and talk for months, for a year, for years to uncover how you really heal.
Are any of your patients ever in tears?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Does it bother you?
Not at all. Mm-hmm. I read this somewhere that's the gold in therapy, that when someone first off, feels comfortable enough to be vulnerable to that point, but also if they are crying about something, there's a wound there. There's something that needs to be worked through. There's healing that is not happening.
Can everybody, normal circumstance, can everybody be healed from a minor tragedy? So how come sometimes if you have something that happens, say a divorce or a breakup, it just keeps going on. But if there's a death, that's final. How come sometimes we can get over death quicker? We never get over it, but you know what I mean? But there's something that lingers every day. Right? Well, how come you can't get over that?
I think it's an intriguing question. I've never really thought about that. But what immediately comes to mind, though, is that maybe that's public. Everyone knows that that's taken place, like the death. Whereas when there's, it's almost like that. You'd be validated. Like someone died. Of course you're upset. You should feel your emotions. But when it's something, maybe not divorce, but it's something else that's maybe everyday issues, or there is a lot of shame that people throw around.
Because breaking up with a loved one is tough. It
is, but also I've had friends who, we only dated for 3 or 4 months. Doesn't matter. So there's kind of this judgment, this hierarchy of how you should feel, that your pain isn't as hard as somebody else's.
And I see people get back together after 3 or 4 years being broken up. You never know what's around the corner.
We've talked about this, how death is final. There's no going back. But when you break up, or whether it be a friendship or a romantic relationship, when you break up, there's always that potential in the future, because
you can't go by the years. Things just happen. You never know what.
You never know, but there's always that potential, I think. And
but death doesn't have that. How come in this? This is one thing that gets me about death. Hope I'm not talking too much, but I have.
You're good. We're good.
How come in death, your family and friends come around, come visit you, bring you food, say I'm so sorry, come in from out of town, 4 or 5 weeks later you don't hear from them? Have you run into that ever, Kara?
I have, yes.
Yeah, I think we both have.
Does that upset you? Or you can't get upset? Does that bother you?
No, I knew it was going to happen like that. It's the same thing when you have a baby. Everyone's excited. They bring you meals. It's all this excitement. And as a new mom, and Joanna really is still a new mom. Her Duke is 8 months old. But, you're left in the dust or the rubble after the death. And everyone has moved on with their life. And now, like me and my children.
You got to grow up. Not growing up, it's just, hey, people ain't going to feel sorry for you so long.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. People do feel sorry, but, like, they feel like there's nothing else they can do. And what I always say is, I'm like, just showing up, just being there when someone, if someone has a new baby or is, has a loss in their life that's so close, just showing up, just come over, just drop off something,
let's meet out for dinner or something, just talk about the kids. And then sometimes you need to be away from the kids, don't you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I will say, as it relates to death, though, I think so. Almost 4 years ago, I lost my brother, one of my brothers. I'm
sorry to hear that.
Thank you. I'm one of 5 children, so my brother right before me. And something that was so difficult for me is that people just stopped asking about him.
Yeah.
And that was hard for me for
Not
a long
first
time. Yes and no. And I there were some people that still ask about him, but I think a couple, after the funeral, I think people just don't know what to say, and they don't want to make me feel sad, but I already felt sad. It's so nice when someone just asks you how you're doing, or that they bring up a story about someone who's passed away. And that way we're keeping their memory alive. We're actually talking about them. It's almost as if they're there. That was hard for me to lose a sibling and have no one really, people asked about him, but it fades away after a while, and that's really difficult.
All my friends know me. All my friends say Charlie is the one person that can help you out through a tragedy. He can help you out if somebody dies or somebody's sick or whatever. Say, Charlie, I go to church and pray for him. But there's no one to help out Charlie. So I have to do it with him upstairs. Because like I told Carrie, I go to church and pray every single day. This morning I went to church and prayed about something. I got an answer. While I was sitting there, this may sound weird, but I got an answer. It was like stress was taken off of me. And right now I'm sitting there, I just got another answer. I showed it to Joe. I just got another answer from guess who, Joe?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yes, sir. So you girls are good luck. We're gonna have to. I know you girls don't drink. We have to go to the winery one day.
Listen to
My guess, you take the kids or not, and do that. Just you can only have so many friends you meet, but sometimes you have special people you meet. You say, well, yeah, they're a keeper. They're a keeper. Because sometimes I just text her in the morning just to make me feel good. Good morning. She passed. Wait a minute. So we're getting to know one another a little bit better.
Great.
She knows my tendencies, and everybody has tendencies. Do you think everybody strays off the course sometimes?
I think so.
Have you strayed off the course lately?
What does that mean?
Stray off the course of happiness.
No.
Oh, happiness.
Happiness.
No.
You know, you drive a car down the road, all of a sudden,
Well, yeah.
you go off the road.
I mean, I do that
You
sometimes.
hit gravel, you got to.
Yeah. No.
Because there's bad times in your life.
You know, I feel like I'm, like Joanna said, like, I feel like I'm back to myself more now than I have been in years.
Really?
Yeah, I do. So no, I am very grateful for where I'm at. I'm grateful for, the people in my life, and I have to look forward and be positive and believe that the best is yet to come, or I would crumble and to nothingness.
Well, thank you girls for coming in. Before we leave, is there anything else you want to leave us with? Don't be shy, because I know you're not.
I think a message I really like to share with people is that I think, especially where we're at in our world, you quickly jump on Instagram or Facebook, we're constantly comparing, even if it's unconsciously we're doing it. I think something, like I said earlier, where I really felt like the universe opened up and the path was clearer for me for motherhood, was when I started to really own my story. And I liked my story, even though when I looked out around me, it was so different.
As a therapist, do you take insurance from people? You do that?
I do.
Okay, maybe you can be my new therapist.
Okay, let's do it.
I can't use my own therapist alone.
Okay, long story. We'll talk about it in your first session.
Yeah, we'll talk. I can't. It was something. But I want to thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much. It was great to meet you.
And nice to see you too.
Yes.
Little baby girl. My daughter will get mad if she heard me call baby girl.
Grown woman.
My daughter. I don't call her lady baby girl.
can't do that.
First of all, she ain't your baby and she ain't no girl.
Grown woman.
Grown woman. Now, you have thousands of followers. Tell us when they can check you out.
Yes, my new podcast is called Yes We Can. It's about stories of triumph, people that have been through all sorts of things and how they've come out or are currently battling. It'll be dropped every Tuesday.
Okay.
So yes, follow, subscribe. This next Tuesday, my first episode will be dropped.
Oh, good.
So.
Is it how many days a week? Just on Tuesday?
Just 1 day a week.
1 day a week. Okay. Sound good.
Yeah.
I like
2
that.
episodes down already. So.
2 down.
Really 3.
3, yeah. 3
3 episodes down.
3 ready to go. So you play one per week.
Yep.
And I'm on how many times? 4 times?
On Monday through Thursday.
Monday through Thursday.
Well, I need
We're
to get
gonna
more
start going live Tuesdays and Thursdays.
And you're on with me on top of your own
Thursdays.
podcast.
Yeah, well, you introduced me to this world.
Oh, yeah, I'm not finished with you.
Okay, let's keep going. And Joe hooked me up with it. I mean, it's like this crazy, lovely, amazing thing is happening. So yeah, the more sponsors I get, the more I can be on, right? The more we can drop episodes.
Yeah.
So.
Girls, ladies, thank you so much for coming in. We will see you very, very soon. Have a wonderful weekend. Best luck and happiness to your husband and your baby and your 2 children. See you. 3. You can't leave one out. 3.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Charlie.
All right.
Fun.
That was okay?
It was great. Yeah.